So I'll start with doc type HTML to let my browser know that I'm writing in HTML5. Then I'm going to put in my HTML tags, and then I'm going to put in my body tags. And inside the body tags, I'm just going to have a div. I'm going to give it a class called navigation. No, I'm going to say navbar actually. And I'll actually go to my CSS really quickly, target it using a dot because that's how we target classes, and then give it a border of 5 pixels, solid lined border, and then black line border. All right, and then inside the navigation bar in HTML, I'm going to add a list, an unordered list, because I want a list of navigation links. So inside a list, we always have list items, which I'm going to make linked. So I'm going to do an 8 tag, and then set the href equal to the hashtag, which means I want you to go nowhere. Instead, I could also put like www.google.com and it will go to google.com, but I don't want it to go to google.com. I want it to go nowhere, so hashtag. And I'm going to just say link. Actually, I'm going to do home, and that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to copy that, paste it a few times, call like this volunteer, and this one contact. All right. So that looks good. So now over here, I'm actually going to give these a class of links so I can target them easily. So anytime that I want to change um, any style of these, I could just do dot link, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I'll do dot link. And I would want to first of all change the background to be, let's say, this color over here. So hashtag, put that in there. I would give it a padding of 10 pixels and then 20 pixels. So 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. And then to remove the underline, I'll do text decoration, set that to none. The color, I could also just do color and set that to white. And to make the borders round, I could do border radius and set that to 20 pixels. And then the big problem here is that, wait, they're overlapping. How do I fix this? Well, I could set the UL, which is what contains these list items, to have a display of flex. So I could do .navbar, or I could actually just do UL in this case because there's only one UL in my HTML. So I could set the display to flex, making that a flex container, which means that by default, it's going to have this property called flex direction to be row by default. So it sets all the flex items, which are the list items, which are, the things inside the flex container, the UL, to be in the same row. And I don't even need this because again, that's what it is by default. Now to have some spacing, I could do gap and then do one EM to have spacing between the flex items, which are the list items. And to remove the bullet points, that's a list item property, so I would have to do ULLI and just set the list style to none. All right, and then I would also go here, I want them to be at the center, so I'll do justify content center. And then to add a background image, I'm going to go to Unsplash, right click on, oops, okay. Right click on this image, copy image address, go back to CodePen. And because I'm not really doing anything complicated, I didn't add a container. I'm just going to go to the body and give it a background URL and paste the URL in there. And then I'll do background size cover so it covers the entirety of its container, which is the body. I would want the body to have a height of 100 VH, vertical height of the screen. And then, let's see, I would also want there to be an overlay. So I would do a linear gradient so that the navigation bar can be looked at a little bit better. And so my linear gradient really consists of an RGBA 2 times with, let's see, 3 times 0.77 and then 1.1 0.7. And then I just copy that and paste that in there, and there we go. And so at this point, I'm going to go to CSS and then do a dot link hover state. So when I hover over my links, I want the background to change to a slightly darker color. I'm going to choose this one and I'm going to do hashtag, paste that in there. Or I could actually make it cute and I could do pink or purple, whatever color that is. That would be cute. I think that's cute, honestly, that's cute. But I think maybe it would be better if it matched her shirt. I don't even care, it's fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete the border of the navigation bar. And this is what it's looking like so far in debug mode. So I would actually want this to be a little bit lower. So I'll just go to the navigation bar and give it a margin from the top. So from the top, it's going 20 pixels downwards. So there's some spacing between, let's do 40, between the top and then this, I guess, the top of the page. All right, so that looks fine. And one more thing, because I did want to add JS in this, I think I'm gonna do a modal really quickly. So for my modal, I'm gonna do a div. I'm gonna give it a class called modal, and it's honestly just going to say contact me. It's gonna be clicked on when I contact. I'm gonna go and give the contact link an ID of contact. All right, I'm gonna access it through JS. So I'm gonna do a variable called button, or yeah, I'll do contact, or no, I'll do contact. No, let me do button. I can't even make up my mind. Let me do button. I'll change this to button because it's the button that I'm going to click, right? So I'm going to set it equal to the button from HTML. So I use the document, which is basically the browser's copy of your HTML page. The reason why your browser needs to make a copy is because JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language. It only works with objects, and your HTML elements are not objects. They're elements. And so your browser converts those elements into objects and put those objects into a document called the DOM, the document object model, and that is the same thing as a document. So we're basically accessing those objects. And we do that by using functions like getElementById, and then just putting the ID that we need. So now we have that accessed. And I want to create a function called, let's see, on button click. So when I click on the button, I want the following function to happen. And what I want is I want the modal to actually show up. So I'll have to access the modal too. So I'll just copy this, paste it in there, call it modal, and then just do modal, change this to an ID of modal. So I want the modal dot style dot display to be set to block so that I'm able to see it when I click on the button. Now, if I do that though, nothing's going to happen because first of all, I would have to actually go into CSS hashtag modal and give it a display of none right now, so it disappears. And so, but still, nothing's going to happen if I click on contact because I haven't told the buttons how to react. So I'm going to say dot button, and I'm going to add an event listener so that it listens for when it's clicked on. And so when it's clicked on, it's going to pass in the following function on button click. So now if I click on the button, if I spelled everything right, add event listener. So I just have to make sure there's an equal sign here, forgot that. And now if I click on the button, it's right here, beautiful, but let's make this a little bit better. So by the way, this is basically the modal CSS display property equals to block. That's how you read it. Just changing that. So let me go here. Let me give this a position of, let's say, absolute. I'm going to give this a background of the same, like pink. Do hashtag pink. Let me remove the display none for now so that I can actually see what I'm doing. So position absolute, let's do from the top 0, from the left 0, and then height 100%. There we go. Move that up here. Weird. What if I put the modal inside? Oh no,